Have you ever made the decision that you were going to do something, and when it comes time to do the things, you just do not know where to start, what to do? So you do your research, you check YouTube, TikTok, you even ask AI, but everything you find is just surface level stuff. That's how I felt when I decided to start making cinematic videos. I don't want you to go through that, so let me show you guys my secret formula that I use when I'm shooting cinematic content. Okay, so the formula. There are 7 steps to shooting a cinematic video, and at the end of step 7, I believe you'll be able to make your very own cinematic video. Okay. So the first step is the most important, and it's scripting. When making cinematic videos, you need structure and a storyline. Imagine picking up your camera and you start recording, no structure, no storyline. People are just gonna click off and they're gonna move on. Okay, so you know the importance of scripting. The next step is gonna make scripting 10 times easier. Thumbnails and titles. You need to do your thumbnails and titles first. Thumbnails and titles help to create structure. They help to show you what the value of your video is gonna be. So if you have your thumbnail and your title, writing your script will be way easier. That's why if you notice people like Mr. Beast and them, they always tell you, do your titles and thumbnail first, because it just helps create structure for your video. You know exactly what the video is about. You know the value you're giving your audience. So do your titles and thumbnail first. Okay, so now you've come up with your title and thumbnail, you know what your video is gonna be about. So the next step is writing your script. I'm gonna tell you what I do when I write my script, so you can kind of use it as a guide for yourself. So the first thing is, don't think about nothing. All you just do is sit down and just write things. Don't overthink it and don't try to overanalyze. All you just do is open your notes, open your computer, and just write down every thought you're getting about the video. It doesn't matter if it makes sense or not, just write it down. The reason why you're doing that is, it's just idea. Write it as much as possible. That's your rough draft. Most of it are not gonna make sense. The next thing you're gonna do here is you're gonna start thinking about your transitions, the way you want the storyline to flow. The nonsense you've written, you're now gonna start making sense of it. You're gonna start creating a storyline from that nonsense you've written, and slowly but surely it's gonna turn into something crazy. You just make it flow, you know? It's during this process that you come up with your storyline, you come up with how you want the video to flow, and what you want the audience to achieve. That's when you put your suspense, that's when you put your hooks, that's when you put your open loops, everything. You do it right there. And then when your script is done, we move on to the next step. Okay, so we talked about scripting, title and thumbnail. Now you have everything down, ready to shoot your video. So let me take you through the process of shooting a successful cinematic video. When you're shooting cinematic videos, stop putting everything in the center of your frame. Bro, you have all this space. You have all this space. Don't always put it in the middle. Like, bro, when you're framing your shot, use rule of third. If you don't know what rule of third is, go search it up on Google. If you don't know what leading line is, go search it up on Google. If you don't know what frame is, bro, go search it up on YouTube. These are just examples of things that will make your videos look way more cinematic than you just every single time putting yourself in the middle, putting the subject in the middle, putting the character in the middle. It's just thinking outside the box, okay? So when you're out shooting, try to make a cinematic video. When you're shooting, try to create depth. Try to turn your whole scene into a 3D space. For example, look at this scene I'm shooting right now, I'm talking to you. We have the camera, the foreground, and me. And you see, it kind of creates this like 3D space. Makes the whole thing look way more cinematic than I remove all the objects in front of the camera and just shoot it straight on me. It doesn't look as good. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't look as cinematic as when you put something in the foreground, then me, I'm in the background, and the camera is right here chilling. Just makes everything look good. See, you don't need to move the camera every time. That's one thing I tell people is when you're shooting and you're trying to shoot cinematic videos, don't move the camera all the time. What's the purpose? If there's no purpose for you actually moving the camera, the best thing is let the camera be still. Especially if you're filming yourself by yourself. Bro, it's just you and your tripod. Your tripod is your best friend. So keep that camera down, keep it still. If the movement doesn't serve the purpose, you don't need to move the camera, just leave it and let your framing and your shot do the work. You don't need to start carrying the camera and moving around with it. Come on, let's say that. So a lot of people pay people to edit their videos, but we don't have the luxury to do that. So we're gonna edit our video ourselves. So let me give you some tips on editing your video. Editing is basically the time where you start making sense of all the shots you took earlier. You're gonna start making sense of them. You're gonna start making a story out of them. You're gonna try to make it flow. One thing I will say is you can shoot your whole shot, and then let's say, for example, you shoot something at the end of the day. Honestly, you don't need to put it at the end of the day when you're trying to make up your story. If it makes sense to put that shot you shot at the end of the day in the beginning, put it. You have unlimited freedom when you're editing. You can literally put a shot from a week ago in the present day. Nobody's gonna know, and even if they know, what's wrong with it, you know? So you just gotta do it however you wanna do it. Limitless, have fun, and just do your thing, you know? One tip I'll give you when you're editing your video is don't let your video be the same speed. What I mean by that is, for example, you're shooting a video and it's just the same. It's just one long video, everything going at a similar pace. Bro, if you do that, your video is just going to be boring and people will just click off course. Bro, what are you doing? But you're making cinematic videos, you have to mess with the pacing. Sometimes you need to shoot very fast, like quick cuts, bam, 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 bam. And sometimes you need to shoot medium, you know, normal speed, where everything is just moving on normally, and then sometimes you need to slow everything down and take your time with it. That is, when you're shooting the video, yeah, stretch that scene. And everything has a purpose. You cannot decide to do fast cuts for like you talking. It doesn't work. Okay, let's say I get into the coffee shop, yeah, and I want to start working. I can choose to take my time with opening my bag and everything, or I can do a fast cut of opening my bag, take my computer out, set everything up, sit down, boom. As soon as I'm done that fast cut, then I slow it down. I put it back to normal speed. And now I'm showing you some shots of me walking, some close-up shots of me typing, some wide-angle shots of me, of the environment I'm in, then a tight shot again, then a normal shot, and then again, mess up again, boom, you know, take it fast again. You're messing with the audience's brain. You don't want them to sit down and be comfortable and everything. You need to keep them on their toes. They don't know what's gonna happen next, and that's where you keep people watching. That's how you keep them going. And everything is done in editing, man, so hey, if you want to make in-depth video about how I edit my videos, just put in the comment section and I'll see what I can do about that. And finally, all I will say is when you're editing your video, yeah, this is where you add everything, your sound effects, your background music, your storytelling, your transitions. This is where you add it. This is where the story you have in your head now starts making sense. And this is where you can have fun with it. This is where you can chill and actually enjoy the process, you know, start to see the hard work you put in, start to see it paying off, start to see your shots coming out crazy. And bro, you just smile at the end of the day because it's like, you did that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, so framing can most definitely help you when you're shooting cinematic video. That's not a lie, that's not a problem. But the problem is this, yeah? If you're shooting your cinematic video and the audio sounds like it's coming out of a potato, well, that's the end of your video. Doesn't matter how cinematic the video looks, doesn't matter how much lighting, the composition, whatever the case may be, that will make your video look as cinematic as crazy. Bro, if the audio is trash, nobody's gonna wanna watch it. I'm being honest, like absolutely nobody's gonna want to watch that video. Now I want you to imagine this. It's a golden hour shot. We have a couple in front of a waterfront, yeah? And they are chilling, they're being all romantic and everything. And then in the background, you hear rock music. Dun 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 dun. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? You're hearing rock music in the background and they're being all romantic and lovey-dovey. And you're like, bro, basically what I'm trying to say is background music should only be put in your video if it complements the video. If there's no need for background music, don't put it. If you're going to put background music, make sure it's going with the vibe of the video. And it's not every single time you use background music. You only use it if it complements the video. If it's not doing anything, just like, oh, the music sounds nice, let me add it to my video. No, you don't do that. You don't just put background music because it sounds good. It has to serve a purpose. That's basically what I'm just trying to say all through, is that every single thing you're doing when you're making a cinematic video, it has to have a purpose. You cannot just decide to do, yeah, sometimes you might want to have fun, but for most parts, everything has to have a purpose. Okay, so color makes or break your video. You can make your video have any emotion with colors. That's how good color is. That's the good thing about color, and that's the important thing about color. Colors give the emotion to your video. You can make your video happy, you can make your video sad, you can make your video cold, you can make your video warm. Whatever you want, color can do for your video. You can shoot colors two different ways. You can shoot in a log profile, which is a wide color profile, and you can shoot in Rec 709, which is what most smartphones shoot on. Okay, shooting in log is way more effort, but the benefit and the advantage that you get from shooting in log is you have limitless control of your colors. You can do anything you want with it. You can make it happy, you can make it sad, you can make it warm, you can make it cold, and it just makes everything look good. But if you're shooting in Rec 709, yeah, you have limited dynamic range. Just input your footage, mess with the exposure, mess with the color a little bit, and it's done. So yeah, honestly, color don't matter if you don't nail your white balance when you're shooting. So white balance basically makes your video either warm or cool. So when you're shooting, choose wisely, because once you're done shooting, you can't change your white balance. I haven't been done everything I needed to do and say everything I needed to say. I was like, okay, cool. The next thing I want to do right now is I want to talk about some cinematic myths that you're always hearing online, like do this, you're gonna get cinematic videos. And I was like, let me talk about this so that you guys can know what's actually true and what's false. From my experience, I know it's very windy right now. I don't know what's going on in Ottawa, but it's very windy. So the first cinematic myth is always shoot shadow side. What that means is, let's say for example, the sun is here, the lighting of this place. This is shadow, always shoot from here. Bro, sometimes the lighting condition is not the best. So shooting shadow side is not gonna work. It just depends on what the lighting is. It's just, shooting shadow side is oversimplified. It's just so basic. It doesn't go in depth into what actually goes into it. So That's that on that. Another cinematic myth is always shoot 24 frames per second. You get the most cinematic motion blur and everything like that. Yes, that's true. Well, I know some creators that shoot 60 frames per second, 30 frames per second, and they also get cinematic videos. I feel like at the end of the day, it's just what you're trying to achieve. It's just what you're trying to go for that will lead to whatever cinematic video you get. The next one I'll talk about is more blur equals to more cinematic. It's not true. More blur does not equal more cinematic. See, your videos can have the maddest blurry background, might have the maddest looking blur, and then bro, the video is still trash. You know, at the end of the day, all this is just for you to work with what you have, work with the environment you're in, and see what works. You cannot just say, take everything that everybody says online, and they just say, yes, they said this, they said, add more blur, let me get a f1.4 lens so I can get mad blur in my background. Bro, you can have mad blur in your background, doesn't mean your video will be cinematic. Your video can still be meh. So yeah, that's another cinematic myth, man. I hope you guys can hear me because this wind is crazy right now. Another myth that I hear a lot of people saying is always shoot in log, always shoot in log. Bro, if you don't know how to color grade, don't shoot in log. Go shoot Rec 709, go shoot normal footage and just tweak the exposure and something and you get cinematic shot. And you get cinematic shots like that. If you don't know how to color grade in S-Log 3, in whatever log that you're shooting on, don't shoot in log. Bro, just simply shoot in Rec 709 and keep it pushing. If you shoot in log, yeah, you might get more dynamic range. You might be able to mess with your colors more, bro. But bro, that doesn't mean cinematic video. Because if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know how to color grade, how are you gonna get cinematic videos? So if you don't know how to color grade, just shoot Rec 709. Don't believe people saying shoot log, shoot log, shoot log. You get what I'm saying? Let's move on. This one is the most painful one, and this one I fell into this myth until I learned it. And I'm like, oh, that's actually not the case. And it's the fact that people always say, oh, more expensive camera gives you more cinematic footage. Honestly, that's not true. That is not even the slightest true at all. It's not true at all. It is false. Bro, I spent so much money on gear and everything when what I should have been doing was learning my camera's capability and what my camera could do. When people say, buy an FX3, you get the most cinematic video ever. If you buy an FX3 and you don't know how to use the FX3, where's the cinematic video you're getting, you know? You're not gonna get no cinematic video, so why are you getting the FX3? So the best thing is, whatever camera you have, work with it, understand the camera, find the camera's flaws, find the camera's good parts, and then just take advantage of that. You don't need an expensive camera to get cinematic videos. There are a lot of people with Canon R50 creating cinematic videos. There are a lot of people with A7II, A7IV creating crazy videos. So what do you need an FX3 for? What do you need a Red camera? What do you need an Arri Alexa camera for? Nothing. Okay, so the next one that I always hear people talk about and I always hear people say is that add transitions to your videos, add crazy effects to your videos. It's gonna make your video way more cinematic. Honestly, that's boo. I'm telling you right now, I'm putting it out there. That is boo. Like, bro, you don't need to put all that in your video. That's what I learned, because I listened. I watched a lot of videos. I did my research and everything. And bro, I'm putting effects, and effects, if they don't solve the problems, why are you putting them in your video? And I started to learn that, and I started to decide, okay, cool. If I'm gonna put effects in my video, they have to solve the purpose. They have to have a reason why they're in my video. I hope you guys can hear me. It's quite windy. So, I didn't put effects in my video like every single time. I just take my time with it. If I feel like a shot doesn't need effect, I'm not putting it. And instead of putting like crazy effects, I put like small effects. Like for example, a clap, a smile, this thing, a snap, just the turn of your head, any little thing. Make it cinematic. You get what I'm saying? You don't need any crazy effect, any crazy edits. Like, oh, do this. Some shots, they speak way more than you put in effect. Finally, a lot of people always talk about moving the camera. If you move the camera, you're gonna get cinematic shots. Just do. Put your shutter speed low, like 1/8 or something. Put your shutter speed at like 1/8 and then shake the camera. You get some crazy cinematic motion blur. Yeah, you can use those for transitions when it's needed. But bro, if you have a still shot like this and the shot is given, why are you moving your camera, man? Why are you moving it? Why do you need to move it? Why do you need to start shaking it? If a still shot works, leave it a still shot. Let's say, for example, you're running now and you want to track. Sure, you can move the camera then. But bro, especially if you're a solo creator and you're making your videos yourself, you're trying to make your cinematic videos yourself, your tripod is your best friend. Still shots are your best friend, and learn them because that's what you're gonna need. Still shots. What I'll just tell you is when you're making your still shots, make them continuous. That is, for example, now I'm walking. I walk like this. and I move right here. Bro, you see how that transitioned smoothly and to another still shot? That movement, that continuous movement, I just carried it from here, brought it here, and then boom. And finally, the last step is just have fun. Whatever you're doing, whatever content you're trying to create, cinematic or not, just have fun with it. Take your time. Be creative. See, I give you some bunch of advice and rules and stuff, and honestly, I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm learning day after day. You have to continuously shoot. You have to practice. It's your craft. So you need to practice your craft and get better at it. You cannot just decide to say, okay, cool, I've done this, I know what I'm doing, and then you let it go. So you got to practice it and practice it and practice it. And while you're practicing it, have fun. Enjoy the process. But you're going to get there. You're going to start making amazing, crazy shots. So while you're rushing, take your time, you know, and just enjoy it, man. Enjoy the whole process. And I believe with the advice I've given you and the tips I shared with you on how to create a cinematic vlog, that now you can go into the world yourself and create mad, crazy content, man. You got this, and I believe in you. It's been your boy AB. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace and out.